From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Morgan Goulding.
And I'm Kari Strandberg.
Today in the show, healthcare is seen as a necessity in America, but where you live can play a big role in the quality of that care. We'll talk to a woman who helps rural communities provide these important services.
Also, the chemistry curriculum is often introduced in middle school or early high school, but some are eager to start earlier. Learn how a weekend camp is electrifying the imaginations of tiny scientists. But first, many child abductions go unsolved, but in one 13-year-long case, the child has been found alive. An Alabama boy who went missing in 2002 was recently found safe in Ohio. Police say that young Julian was taken by his own father in a non-custodial parent abduction. Neighbors say they were shocked to learn that Bobby Hernandez, going under the false name of John, was a wanted man. With Christmas approaching, a New York family is making a big contribution to the holiday. This 78-foot-tall Norway spruce will become the Christmas tree at the Rockefeller Center tree lighting ceremony. The 10-ton spruce was cut down from a family's yard and then hoisted onto a 115-foot-long trailer. The homeowners say they are honored to donate the tree to New Yorkers for the upcoming holiday. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, the cause may be your favorite caffeinated beverage. It's no secret that having coffee or soda close to bedtime can affect your rest. But new studies at the University of Colorado show that caffeine does more than just keep you up. It also has psychological impacts on your quality of sleep by slowing down your body's production of melatonin. This sleep hormone pushes back your circadian clock. Problems with your circadian clock may have health consequences such as obesity and even cancer. Some health experts say a house rule should be to stop consuming caffeine no later than 3 p.m.
Today's most popular form of communication may be increasing your stress levels. A report from Popular Science says that text messaging may be creating anxiety due to misinterpretation of messages. It's hard to decipher text messages because there are no facial expressions, gestures, or tone to convey what the sender is really saying. Emojis, capitalization, and punctuation can help eliminate this confusion. However, researchers say those with social anxiety can benefit from text messaging. It allows them to think through a message before responding.
Chemistry can be tough to understand for a lot of people, but it can also be easy to learn if it's taught in a fun manner. The University of North Dakota Undergraduate Chemistry Club found a way to do that with elementary kids in 2nd to 4th grade.
Will it light?
Oh, it's fun. The UND students are having as much fun, if not more, than the small people.
And those small people were learning how chemistry colors our world. That was the theme for this year's Chemistry Fun Day, put on by the University of North Dakota Undergraduate Chemistry Club. Chemistry students like Alice Steffl explained to the kids how chemistry lights up our world.
Like for instance, this happens. Well, yeah, it happens, but with chemistry, we're able to figure out this plus this makes this happen.
With so much complexity, it can be difficult to explain chemistry to a 2nd grader. But that's when the teacher becomes the learner.
They're used to learning to be technical and scientific and correct, and now they have to think down to the level that makes sense to a young person, and it's an extremely valuable skill in science in all kinds of areas in life.
Alice says that the Chemistry Fun Day is much more than just the periodic table and Bunsen burners.
It would really be working with the kids and, being able to show them that chemistry is fun.
The Chemistry Club designed experiments with more than just a chemical reaction in mind.
It's enough to get their interest, and we hope that that will help them pursue more things in science as they go forward in their schooling.
The event was put on in partnership with the American Chemical Societies and National Chemistry Week.
It's a really nice way for the chemists across the country to reach out to the public and share a little bit of excitement and fun.
The Chemistry Club hopes that after all of the fun and excitement the elementary kids had, they stay interested in the subject. This is Brian Rogers reporting for Studio One.
National Chemistry Week usually falls around what chemists call mole day. A mole in chemistry is short for the number 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. 10 to the 23rd correlates to October 23rd, or Mole Day. And that's the news for now.
Thanks, Kari. Let's go now to Emily Pogatshnik with the weather news. Emily?
Thanks, Morgan. Here in the weather studio this week, we've been taking a look at the first snowfall for some ski resorts in the country. In Mount Hood, they received a few inches of snowfall, though forecasters aren't saying it's going to stick around too much because the Forecasted temperatures are actually in the mid to upper 50s, with the overnight lows being well above freezing. Soda Springs, California also received some snowfall. They received about 4 to 5 inches of new snow at the base of the mountains, with 6 to 7 at the summit. It's an early lift for the ski industry, with some places opening early, mainly this weekend to skiers and snowboarders in Nevada. And this is also a welcome change for the last 4 years. They've been in a drought, and it helps out people who make a livelihood off of the winter weather. And we're going to show you where Mount Hood is here in Oregon, and there's where Soda Springs is in California. And to get the snowfall that happened in the mountains this last week, you need some nice, warm, moist air over the Pacific Ocean that makes its way towards the mountains. And once it hits the mountain, it's going to rise up, dropping some rain precipitation. And as it continues up into up the mountain, it'll change into snow when it hits a freezing level. And the mixture of the two of these is what really helps keep that snowfall on the mountains. As it continues and gets to the top, however, it loses most of its moisture and descends down the other side of the mountain. And that's where you can really see where not a whole lot of snow is on the eastern part of the mountain, with most of the snow on the western side. And that's considered the orographic precipitation or mountain effect snow. And since we are getting deeper into winter, not a whole lot of people are thinking about their winter skincare since the days are much shorter, but there's actually a few things that you should be prepared for.
November is the time when people bring out their mittens, hats, and winter jackets. All these things protect us from the winter cold, but the change in season brings another risk.
And then in the winter, like fall, winter, we lose a lot of that humidity, so your skin really starts to dry out.
Dermatologists recommend to exfoliate or remove dead skin cells twice a week. However, over-exfoliating the skin can dry it out, especially at night.
Your skin loses more moisture when you sleep, so that's why they have things like night creams that are a little bit rich in moisture.
Many people know that during summer, the UV rays from the sun can harm our skin. Naomi says UV rays are even more harmful in the winter.
The UV rays can hit the snow and it can bounce back up and actually hit your face in different areas that it wouldn't normally in the summer.
As the cold creeps in, it's easy to forget the sun still poses a risk to our skin. I am Samadhi Herath reporting for Studio One.
And even on cloudy days, the sun's rays are pretty strong. They can penetrate those clouds up to about 80% of the sun rays hitting the Earth's surface. And that brings us to our weather question of the week. What is the snowiest ski resort in the United States? Is it the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, the Mount Baker Ski Area, the Steamboat Ski Resort, and the Mount Bachelor Ski Resort? Now, Morgan, this ski resort actually is known as the place with the most snowfall ever recorded.
All right, thanks, Emily. Let's go now to Kari for the sports story of the day. Kari?
Thank you, Morgan. College as a student athlete tends to be quite different from high school. Some universities understand this and have started implementing programs to help with this transition.
Michaela Dyer is a junior this year and a guard for the University of North Dakota women's basketball team. She's played basketball all her life, but there's something about playing her favorite sport at the next level.
I just think the atmosphere, like when the Betty gets packed, it's just awesome to play in front of, like screaming fans.
Now it'll be even easier for student athletes like Michaela to make this transition from high school to college. Beginning in the 2016-2017 academic year, UND will expand the awarding of full tuition, room, and board scholarships to all student athletes on athletic aid.
It changes the viewpoint of the student athletes. It allows them to focus a little bit more on the academics, allows them to focus a little bit more on the athletics.
These athletes are here first and foremost to earn a degree, and this new decision helps alleviate stress by giving these students a sense of financial freedom.
I think it's great for the student athletes. I mean, obviously, it's very difficult for them to hold down part-time jobs while they're here, and there's some legitimate cost issues for athletes that I think now will be addressed.
UND Athletic Director Brian Faison sees this as a necessary step for the progression of the program because of its ability to open up options in terms of recruiting.
Recruiting student athletes is the lifeblood of your athletic program, so you've got to go out and you've got to get the best student athletes you can to be involved in your program.
Universities across the country have noticed this and have started implementing this all-in type of program.
I know for me personally, if I was deciding between two similar schools and one had cost of attendance and one didn't, I think I would definitely lean towards the one that did.
and UND hopes this move will help them to acquire more talent, to hang up banners, and fight for the green and white.
And at 3, 1, 2, 3.
And here we go.
Reporting for Studio One, I'm Brady Kappas.
Currently, UND only awards full amended scholarships to men's and women's ice hockey. Only about 50% of UND's current athletes are on athletic aid and will be affected in 2016 when this decision comes into effect. And that's the sports story for today's show. Morgan, obviously these athletes are playing for the love of the game, but I'm sure that they really appreciate the financial help.
Yeah, and it must feel good to know they have a school that supports them. Thanks, Kari. The National Rural Health Association says nearly 1/4 of the population lives in rural America. However, only 10% of physicians practice in these areas. Coming up, we'll talk to a woman whose goal is making sure rural communities are informed and healthy.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
For me to go to college, it was a big step knowing that I'm pursuing a better future for myself. When you know that you have a small system there that you can still find comfort in, it really makes a difference. The support here and everything that they offer for us, you know, the tutors, the free meals, the family, the friends, basically just somewhere for you to relax and be comfortable and find that home feeling again.
Yeah, okay, science meets imagination. Life changed by innovation. Through the future of our nation. Engineers the occupation. UND College of Engineering and Mines. Invest in your mind to stay with the times. Formulas, machines, and all that's in between. They teach it all from wall to wall to help you succeed. Come on, it could be electrical, chemical, or civil. Our world-class staff will help you make it all official. Mechanical, petroleum, geology align at the
UND's College of Engineering and Mines.
Okay, become a leader, prove yourself among all your peers. Changing the world begins right here. You're not alone, but in the plan, we'll take your hand and help you stand with mentorship and advising. We'll do all we can. Okay, so if you wanna join the party, simply calculate. The math adds up, so never think to hesitate. Education, leadership, and dreams combined at the UND College of Engineering and Mines.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
Health services can be taken for granted by those living in cities. But when you live an hour away from the nearest hospital, emergency care can be seen as a luxury. Director of the Rural Information Hub, Christine Sandy, is here to explain what resources the center has to offer those living in remote communities. Thanks for joining us today, Christine.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Do you want to first start by explaining what is the Rural Information Hub?
The Rural Health Information Hub actually right now is called the Rural Assistance Center, but as of December 1st, we will be the Rural Health Information Hub. So we're excited about that change. And we are in a national information service for rural health. We're funded by the Federal Office of Rural Health Policy. We get $2.1 million a year to provide this information service to people across the whole United States. So, you know, we deal with people in Georgia and Washington, D.C., and it's a great opportunity for us here at UND to be leaders in rural health information. And we're located within the Center for Rural Health over at the medical school. And obviously take advantage of all the expertise up and down the hallways of the Center for Rural Health.
All right. So how does one know if they're rural or not?
That's a tricky question. There's actually dozens or maybe hundreds of different definitions of rural. One that's often used is whether you are in a town over 50,000, that would be considered urban, and otherwise you would be considered rural. And that's really the most cut and dry definition, so probably the easiest to use, but there are many other definitions, which is kind of, seems crazy, but I think a lot of different federal programs are designed and have things that they're trying to achieve, so they create a definition for what they mean by rural, and so that's kind of how it got so complicated.
Okay, so how are you guys able to serve the whole country from one location?
Well, we rely heavily on technology. So our primary service is our website. We have a very comprehensive website of rural health information that's updated on a daily basis. We have people who are out looking for new information every day. Looking for funding opportunities, for news about rural health, for new research and new regulations, and updating our website with that so people have easy access to it across the whole nation. And when we started doing this service back in 2002, we had a lot more people contact us by phone or by email looking for information, and now people really are relying on the website more and more all the time. And so, our job is to really make sure we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on in rural health and rural communities, so that we can provide the information those communities need in an easy to access manner.
Okay, so what type of services do you guys offer then?
I mentioned our website where people can find all of those different types of resources, as well as some other tools like Am I Rural? People can see if their location is rural based on various definitions. We also have a community health gateway that has evidence-based toolkits, as well as rural health models and innovations. So things that have been tried in rural communities, and sharing that information amongst communities all across the nation, so that they can learn from what other communities have tried rather than recreating that wheel all of the time.
Okay, so what is personally your favorite part of your job then?
I think my favorite part of the job is that I get to live in North Dakota and yet serve the whole nation, which for me is a big perk. But I also really love hearing about how we're making a difference. When we go to a conference or meet people who use our service, they tell us how heavily they rely on it and what a difference it makes, when they're in a rural community wearing, 4 different hats, and if they can have something that helps them find that information quickly, it really helps.
Right. So lastly, what would you guys like to accomplish long-term with the center?
I think mainly our goal is to just make sure that we keep up with the needs of rural communities and continue to evolve and help them as they need it. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Christine.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes and even more fish. Up next, we'll meet a man whose job is feeding these freshwater favorites.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Really admire the faculty. They're the ones that kind of helped push me through this.
Courses are hands-on and interactive. The communication program has so many different facets to it. One of the great things about the staff in the communication department is that they love what they do. They encourage you to really critically think and analyze everything you're learning. They're so into it, and it makes you want to be into it.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high-demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
If you would like to attend a live show, go to our website at studio1.und.edu.
Daniel Craig is back for round number 4 as the world's most famous secret agent. He's making another appearance as 007 in the movie Spectre. James Bond embarks on a mission to Mexico City and later Rome after receiving a mysterious message from his past. On his journey, he meets a beautiful widow who holds a secret. Bond follows suspicious and uncovers an organization called Spectre that carries him through a number of dangerous challenges.
But the character, he's got older, he's got a bit, wiser, he's got a bit, and that for me is a great pleasure.
The car manufacturer Aston Martin built a car especially for the film. Stunt drivers sped through historic Rome at 100 miles per hour, leaving little room for error. Spectre is released on November 6 with a PG-13 rating. Signatures are required to sign checks, approve contracts, or simply to leave a mark on a piece of work. The art of placing your signature on these documents is being erased. Many schools are teaching children how to use technology rather than teaching them how to write in cursive. A recent USA Today article says that educators face high levels of stress due to the Common Core state standards, which doesn't require handwriting instruction. We want your thoughts on whether or not cursive should be taught in school.
I do not believe cursive should be taught because once you're done elementary school, you never use it.
Yes, so kids can write neater and less space needed to write.
Yes, I certainly do. I think we need to continue teaching it. It gives us another option to communicate effectively and efficiently, and I just don't think we ever want to lose that.
I do, because I think that it teaches you good work ethic because it's pretty difficult to learn.
You need to learn how to write so you can sign your name and be able to sign checks or anything you have to do.
So if I send my child a note or something to the school where they can't read cursive, that's going to be pretty embarrassing.
I have one instructor, one professor, who basically says no computers, but you have to do it cursive.
A comment on Facebook from Mike in Tacoma, Washington. I do believe penmanship should be taught to all students at an early stage in the learning process. I'm not sure if cursive is the most effective technique, but something to possibly reconsider. Mandy in Ada, Minnesota says, more jobs are requiring the use of computers. I don't see the need for schools to continue teaching students to write in cursive.
It isn't often that people come face to face with the wildlife in their region. A local outdoor shop is making it possible.
When you walk into Cabela's, you may be overwhelmed by fishing poles, bait, and taxidermy. But one feature lures customers back.
I probably come once a month. I think it's pretty cool seeing them. They usually grow a little bit.
In this 10,000-gallon tank, you will find 3 things: fish, turtles, and a man who cares for all of them.
Basically what we do is we're aquatic consultants. What we do is set up, maintain, service aquariums as a public aquariums, water features, etc.
Chad Humble says that maintenance isn't easy, but it's worth it to create a relaxing atmosphere for people coming to visit.
Viewing them through a public aquarium, you actually get to see what they do, how they interact with each other. You know, they can see us just like we can see them right now.
These fish were caught in local regions of Minnesota, but before they can be shown, they must be put in a quarantine tank to make sure they are healthy enough to thrive in their new environment.
For medication, we use a powder that we actually take the dry pellet food, moisten it, and sprinkle the powder on top, and then we bake it so it absorbs into the pellet food.
And when it's time to eat, watch out.
They're pretty vicious. They're pretty cool to look at, and when they eat, they're just crazy. They're just flying around in there.
It's kind of a feeding frenzy. You know, we feed them so much in about a 3 to 5 minute period of time.
They have to pace the meal for an important reason.
If you put in too much, all it's going to do is pollute the water.
With the water clear and the food continuously coming, these fish can just keep swimming. With photographer Jake Ocken, I'm Andrew McCarthy, reporting for Studio One.
There are 8 different species of fish in Cabela's tanks, and if you're looking for a chance to touch the fish, you're out of luck. The tanks are off limit to customers. Morgan, those fish look really hungry.
Yeah, it's definitely a job where you have to watch your fingers. Thanks, Kari. Now Emily joins us in the studio with a final look at the weather. Emily?
Thanks, Morgan. As we look at our temperatures for the next week, most of the country is going to be pretty warm, with the western part of the United States being a little bit cooler with some precipitation coming into the area. For precipitation next week, most of the precipitation is going to hang out in Illinois. Some of the country is going to experience a little bit. California is still a little bit drier than average, but they will get some relief as well. And that brings us to our weather question of the week. What is the snowiest ski resort in the United States? And that's actually the Mount Baker ski area. In the winter of 1998-99, they recorded about 95 feet of snow in one winter season. And Morgan, that is a lot of snow.
Yeah, that's like more than 7 stories high.
I couldn't imagine that much falling at one winter.
That's crazy. Thanks, Em. And that's our show for today. As always, you can follow us through social media or get more information on our website.
From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.